Okay, so you're thinking about a Gold IRA, right? Maybe you're looking to shake things up a bit with your retirement savings.
Yeah, it could be that. Or maybe you've heard about gold as like a hedge against inflation, right?
That's it. And if that's you listening right now, well, what we really want to do in this deep dive is help you get crystal clear on something.
Yeah, super important to understand this. We're talking about the roles of those companies that help you set up a gold IRA,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus the custodians, those
Yeah.
folks who actually hold on to your gold.
Exactly. No mixing those two up. We've got this article here by Doug Young,
Third article.
Gold IRA companies versus Gold IRA custodians, understanding their different roles. By the end of this, you'll be able to tell them apart in your sleep and, more importantly, know how that impacts your choices.
Exactly.
So, to kick things off, Doug has this great analogy for thinking about Gold IRA companies. Imagine, right, you're about to trek through some totally uncharted
I
territory.
love a good analogy.
What's the one thing you would absolutely want to have?
Well, if I'm going someplace I've never been, I'd want a guide.
Of course, someone who's been there, done that,
Someone who knows the lay of the land,
knows the best paths.
right? The safest paths, and also maybe how to handle any surprises you might run into along the way, right?
That's precisely the role Doug lays out for Gold IRA companies. They're like that experienced guide, but for navigating the world of, putting gold into an IRA.
Right, because that can get complicated. Lots of paperwork.
Yep, paperwork galore. But also just understanding how gold works as an investment within an IRA. That's not always intuitive.
No, it's not. And then, of course, making sure those choices you're making actually fit your long-term retirement goals.
Exactly. It's that initial hand-holding that can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Now, let's say you've got all that figured out. You've decided to go for it. You've even bought the gold. Then the next big question pops up.
Yeah, where does this gold actually go? I mean, we're talking about physical gold here. Bars, coins, the real deal.
Right. This isn't some ETF in a brokerage account. This is the tangible stuff.
And that's where these gold IRA custodians come into the picture. Doug compares them to, like, guardians of this super secure vault.
Oh, I like that. Like a Fort Knox, specifically for your retirement goal.
Makes sense.
But it's more than just keeping it safe, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot more to it. Custodians also have to make sure that your whole gold IRA is playing by the rules.
Oh, right. The IRS has got their eyes on everything.
Absolutely. That means keeping super detailed records of every single transaction.
Every buy, every sell, all documented.
And then they've got to report all that to you and, of course, to Uncle Sam.
Makes sense. You don't want any surprises come tax time.
No, you do not.
So, if we go back to Doug's analogy, right? Gold IRA company, your expert guide getting you into the Gold IRA, custodian.
The vault guardian, making sure everything's safe, sound, and legit.
Love it. Now, Doug really digs into how these Gold IRA companies act like a bridge, connecting you, maybe someone who's totally new to this whole precious metals thing, with the, well, let's face it, often complicated world of gold investing within an IRA.
And it's fascinating. The range of services they offer goes way beyond just, buy and sell orders. A good company will spend time teaching you about gold.
The good and the bad.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
potential upsides and the risks. Because there are always risks, no matter what you invest in.
Through that.
They also help you pick the right kind of gold. Because it turns out not all gold is created equal, at least not when it comes to IRAs.
Right. There are rules. You can't just stuff any gold bar into your IRA.
Nope. The IRS has very specific rules about how pure the gold has to be, the forms it can take, the whole 9 yards. A good gold IRA company knows all those rules inside and out.
Make sure you don't accidentally buy something that disqualifies your IRA.
Exactly. Saves you a huge headache down the road. And, they handle a lot of the logistics with the custodians, too. Moving funds from your old accounts, buying the gold, getting it safely to that vault. You don't have to micromanage all that.
Now, Doug makes a point that not every Gold IRA company is the same. This isn't like buying a can of soup.
Not at all. There's a wide range of quality and expertise out there. So for you, the listener, thinking about this, really important to know what to look for.
What are the big red flags, or I guess green flags in this case?
Due diligence is key here. Doug emphasizes that you got to do your homework. Look into their track record. How long have they been around? What's their reputation in the industry? Both precious metals and retirement investing. And then transparency. This is huge. Their fees need to be clear, upfront, no hidden surprises.
No gotchas buried in the fine print.
Exactly. And last but definitely not least, customer service. This is a big financial decision. We're talking about your retirement here. You want a company that's there for you, answers your questions, makes you feel comfortable.
All good points. So, Before you even start looking at companies, Doug suggests a really smart first step. Take some time to figure out what you really want from a Gold IRA. Why are you even thinking about this?
I love this point. You got to know yourself as an investor. What are your goals? Is it diversification? Spreading your risk around? Are you betting on gold going up in value? Or are you worried about inflation eating away at your savings?
Right. Are you looking for a safe haven?
That's a big one. And once you've got that straight, then you can start looking for a company that matches your style, your philosophy.
Like, are you someone who wants to buy and hold for the long haul? Or are you thinking about actively trading? Different companies cater to different approaches.
Absolutely. And something else to remember, a Gold IRA should be a piece of the puzzle, not the whole puzzle. It's part of a bigger, well-rounded portfolio.
Okay, so let's say you've done all your homework, you've picked a company. What's the next step? What's the actual process of setting up this Gold IRA look like?
Well, they'll walk you through it step by step. Usually starts with applying for something called a self-directed IRA.
Now, that sounds kind of intimidating. What is that exactly?
It's basically an IRA that lets you hold stuff that's not your typical stocks and bonds. Things like real estate, private equity, and, of course, physical gold.
Oh, okay, so it gives you more options.
Much more flexibility. Then, you've got to pick a custodian. Remember, that's the vault guardian.
Right, where the gold actually goes.
Uh-huh.
And then finally, you move money from your old retirement accounts into this new Gold IRA.
Rollover.
Exactly. 401k, traditional IRAs, things like that. And the Gold IRA company should be your go-to throughout all this, helping with paperwork, answering questions, making it as smooth as possible.
Especially with the rollovers and transfers. That's where people can get tripped up with taxes and penalties if they're not careful.
Exactly. A good company will keep you on the right track. Now, let's zoom in on that relationship with the custodian. Doug mentions good Gold IRA companies have connections with solid custodians. Why does that matter to me, the person actually setting this up?
Well, those relationships can make the whole thing much easier. Because the company's been working with these custodians, they can help you find one that's a good fit.
Like a matchmaking service.
Kind of.
Yeah.
They know which custodian has the best fees for you, the best security, the best customer service, things like that. And while they might have some recommendations, ultimately, you call the shots. You choose.
Right, it's your gold.
Exact.
And once you've got your custodian picks, Doug gets into the nitty-gritty of storage. Where is the gold actually kept, and is it safe?
This is a big one for a lot of people. Custodians work with special high-security depositories. Think like underground vaults, state-of-the-art security systems, the whole shebang. And of course, insurance. Your gold is insured against loss, damage, the works.
So it's not just sitting in some random office.
Nope, it's in a fortress designed for precious metals.
Reassuring to know. And what about the paperwork, all the transactions? Seems like there would be a lot of that.
Yeah, custodians handle that too. Purchase receipts, storage records, anything to do with buying and holding your gold. And when you buy or sell, they make sure all those transactions are recorded right, legal, and ready for tax season.
Got it. So they're really handling the back end.
Exactly, keeping everything organized and compliant. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Money, the costs.
Everyone wants to know about that.
Doug breaks down the different fees involved, and it's super important to understand these up front. So first off, you usually have a one-time setup fee when you open the account.
That makes sense.
The amount varies by company, of course. Then you've got annual fees. These cover the administrative costs, keeping your account running, the custodial services, all that. And those fees can vary too.
And on top of that, there's the storage itself. That's usually separate.
Right, you're paying for that secure vault, the insurance, the whole 9 yards. And that fee is usually based on how much gold you're storing, the value or the weight.
Makes sense. More gold, more space, more cost.
Exactly. And lastly, don't forget transaction fees. Every time you buy or sell gold within your IRA, there might be a fee attached to that.
So a lot of moving parts, a lot of potential fees. Doug's advice is to get a full breakdown from both the company and the custodian. Don't just focus on the big flashy numbers.
Exactly. Compare apples to apples. Look at the total cost, the setup, the annual fees, the transaction fees, and even think about potential exit fees if you ever want to liquidate your holdings down the road.
Speaking of costs, Doug also warns about hidden fees, those sneaky little things that can creep up on you. What are some of those we should be watching out for?
He mentions fees for transferring money in, from your old accounts, or fees if you want to cash out your gold.
Sell it back, get your money out.
Exactly. And of course, the big one, IRS penalties. If you withdraw money before you're supposed to, or you sell your gold under certain conditions, bam, Uncle Sam might come knocking.
Taxes can be a real pain.
No kidding. So best advice, ask for a complete list of fees, even the tiny ones, up front. Transparency is key.
Okay, so taking all this into account, how do we approach this whole Gold IRA thing in a smart way? What are some actionable steps?
Doug's got some great tips. First off, what we talked about earlier, define your goals. Why are you doing this? That'll guide your choices. Then, research, research, research. Don't just believe the marketing hype. Look into these companies and custodians, their history, their reputation.
Go beyond the brochures.
Absolutely. Scrutinize those fees, read independent reviews, look for a good track record with customer service.
Speaking of reputation, how can you really get a feel for that? Doug talks about online reviews, but those can be tricky.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Focus on independent websites, not just the ones controlled by the companies themselves. And check with the Better Business Bureau, the BBB. See if there are any complaints filed against them. And honestly, one of the best things you can do is call them. Ask questions, see how responsive they are, if they make you feel comfortable.
Good old-fashioned phone call.
Never underestimate it. And Doug also has a whole section on scams. Because unfortunately, those exist in the Gold IRA world. What are some things that should make you run the other way?
The big red flags.
First, high-pressure sales tactics. Anyone pushing you to decide right now without doing your research? That's a bad sign. Then, outlandish promises. No one can guarantee you'll get rich quick with gold. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And then, lack of transparency. If they're dodging your questions about fees, storage, the types of gold they offer, that's a huge red flag. Trust your gut. If something feels off, walk away.
Makes sense. Better safe than sorry, especially with your retirement savings.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, a lot of people thinking about Gold IRAs are probably going to be transferring money from existing retirement accounts, 401ks, traditional IRAs. What's that process like?
Doug describes it as pretty straightforward, especially if you have a good Gold IRA company helping you. They'll work with the custodian to make the transfer smooth, without any tax penalties.
Hopefully painless.
Yeah, the goal is to keep it simple. You usually start by telling your current retirement account provider you want to move the money. Then there's some paperwork, authorization, all that. And this is important, make sure it's a direct rollover. That means the money goes directly from one account to the other.
You don't touch it.
Right, otherwise the IRS might think you're taking an early withdrawal and hit you with taxes.
Oh, that wouldn't be good.
No, not at all. And then finally, double check that the money's in your new Gold IRA and that the gold's been bought and is safely tucked away in the vault.
All right, so we've got the gold, it's safe and sound, but this isn't a set it and forget it situation, right? Doug talks about the importance of keeping your portfolio balanced.
Absolutely. A Gold IRA is just one piece of the puzzle, not the whole thing. You still want diversity, a mix of stocks, bonds, other investments.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And you'll want to check in with your Gold IRA company and custodian every now and then just to make sure everything's still aligned with your goals, your risk tolerance, all that, because those can change over time.
What are some things that might trigger a reevaluation? Like, when should I be saying, hey, maybe it's time to take another look at my Gold IRA?
Doug mentions a few things. Big market swings, for sure. If things get volatile, it's good to reassess. Also, if your retirement timeline changes, maybe you're retiring sooner or later than you thought, or if your financial goals change, big life events, things like that. And of course, if the price of gold goes crazy, way up or way down, that might make you reconsider.
So, staying informed, staying flexible.
Absolute.
Doug wraps up with some frequently asked questions, the things people really want to know. Let's tackle a few of those. First one, can I just manage my own Gold IRA? No custodian involved.
Short answer, nope. The IRS wants a custodian involved. They're there to make sure everything's legit, the gold is pure, the paperwork's done right, and the storage is secure. It's for everyone's protection, really.
Okay, so custodian is non-negotiable. But how do you pick one? What should you be looking for?
Doug says to look at their track record, their reputation. Are their fees clear and competitive? How is their customer service? Do they have top-notch security for that gold? And how experienced are they with Gold IRAs specifically?
So lots to consider.
Yeah, but a good Gold IRA company can help you sort through it all. They usually have recommendations based on their experience. But again, you make the final call. It's your money.
What about the types of gold you can have in a Gold IRA? Any restrictions there?
Oh, yeah. The IRS is pretty strict about that. Generally, it has to be 99.5% pure gold or higher. and it has to be in a form the IRS approves. So certain coins like American Gold Eagles or Canadian Maple Leafs are good,
Okay.
and certain gold bars from reputable manufacturers, your Gold IRA company will know all the specifics.
Got it. So don't just go buying any gold coin you find.
Exactly. Make sure it's IRA approved.
And speaking of buying, are there minimum investments? Like how much do you have to put in to get started?
Yeah, usually there are minimums. They vary by company and custodian, though.
Mm.
You might see something like $5,000 or $10,000, but it's best to just ask up front, get the specifics.
So fast forward, you're retired, you're ready to tap into that gold IRA. What happens then?
You've got a couple of options. You can actually take possession of the gold, have those bars and coins delivered to you, or you can sell it and get the cash. Either way, though, you'll owe taxes on those distributions, just like with a traditional IRA. So plan ahead, work with a tax professional, make sure you're not caught off guard come tax time.
So big picture, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today? What do they really need to remember about gold IRAs?
I think the biggest thing is understanding those two separate roles, the Gold IRA companies and the custodians. The company is your guide, helping you set everything up. The custodian is your vault, keeping your gold safe and sound.
And understanding how those fees work is super important.
Absolutely. Get a complete breakdown, compare your options, make sure everything's transparent.
And don't forget, a gold IRA should be part of a bigger strategy.
Right, a well-diversified portfolio, a mix of different assets.
So one final thought for our listeners. Think about this. Gold, historically, has been seen as a safe haven, something that holds its value over the long term. How does that fit into your vision of a secure retirement? How might physical gold contribute to your overall financial well-being as you get older?
It's a question worth pondering.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.